What's up, my name's TechNubber here for Troubleshoot and welcome back to another video. I'll show you how to get better visibility in Call of Duty Warzone 2.0. Obviously, you'll want to follow an optimization guide to get better FPS, as that'll usually improve your skill in-game, but this video is only going to focus on options that improve visibility. You'll find an optimization guide in the description down below that goes very into depth. So on the main menu, we'll head across to Settings at the very top, then Graphics. Obviously, you'll want your resolution to match your monitor, that way things aren't blurry for you. Dynamic resolution should also be off. Scrolling down, brightness is one of the most important options. If your screen looks washed out and lacks colors, click this and simply lower your brightness. If it's too dark, you can raise it, but if you raise it too far, things will look really white and washed out. If you have a high dynamic range screen, it may look better to have HDR enabled. However, because shadows are even darker than usual, if you find yourself struggling to see people in shadowy areas, you may want to turn off HDR. Heading across to the Quality tab at the very top, we'll start with upscaling and sharpening. If you have something like DLSS FSR or Intel XeSS enabled, and you have the preset set really low, things will be really blurry in the distance, especially when you're pushing it to ultra performance or maybe even performance. Usually you'd want to keep things on balanced or more to the quality side so that you get a more true representation of what the game world looks like instead of trying to squeeze every last FPS out of it. Anti-aliasing isn't too important. Usually I like to lower this as far as possible, that way it doesn't blur things in the distance. Speaking of, skipping all the way down to the bottom of the screen, you should disable depth of field, world motion blur, and weapon motion blur, as these will all lower your visibility, especially world motion blur when you're looking around. Film grain should also be dropped down to 0, so you can see things a lot easier. The next thing we'll really want to edit is the shadow settings. So, scrolling up, we can skip past textures to clutter draw distance. You'll want to set this to short, that way we don't see foliage, rocks, and various decals in the distance, or at least spend valuable frames on it. Bullets, impacts, and sprays can help your visibility of predicting where people will be, especially if you can see proof of where they were or were previously. Volumetric lighting doesn't have too much to do with players, so you can drop this down to low and not worry about it. What we're worried about is the shadow and lighting section here. Drop the shadow map resolution to low, screen space shadows to low, spot shadow low, spot cache low, particle lighting to low, ambient occlusion, you'll want to set this down to off for the best visibility. Usually this makes dark areas darker, just so objects seem to pop out a lot more. Like the object on the right, this forklift pops out a lot more from the scene than on the left, where it sort of blends in. If you like this look and you think it may help you see players better, you'll want to select dynamic objects, and they'll have more vibrant shadows compared to the background. If you select static objects, then the backgrounds will be darker than the people running around in it. This is your preference. If you don't like anything and you just want it perfectly flat, like the left, set it to off. Otherwise, if you'd like to see a darker shadow around players, you can set dynamic objects here under ambient occlusion, the quality of which you'll probably want to set to low or normal. You don't need to waste too much processing power on this effect. Screen space reflections, not too important. They don't allow you to see around corners, but usually it's a good idea to have them set to normal, so you may have a few more visual indicators of where people are coming from. Besides that, we're really done with most of the visual settings. Heading across to view, we have some of the most important options in the game: field of view, ADS field of view, and weapon field of view. Obviously third person if you play third person, and vehicles for vehicle play. These options are all your preference. Don't listen to what people tell you is best. Whatever you find to be the best is what you should play with. I personally find that more field of view helps me play, or at least makes me feel a bit less motion sick, depending on how far I'm sitting away from my monitor. Playing in an ultra-wide, I do like this having a lot higher, otherwise I seem far too close. ADS field of view, usually I leave this on independent, however, you can see the options here. Independent is on the right here. If you set it to affected, your zoom will be turned on whenever you scope in. Even though it applies only low magnification levels, even a bit of magnification towards what you're focusing on can help you aim and hit targets better. But that's just your preference. If you don't like it, don't have it on, set it to independent. If you do like it and you think zooming in a tiny bit may help you, set it to affected. With that really comes the end of this quick guide. Those are all of the major settings that will affect visibility in Warzone 2.0 and of course Modern Warfare 2. So hopefully this guide helped you. If you'd like to get more FPS, you can either drop all of the settings yourself, or you can follow a detailed optimization guide like the one I have linked in the description down below. You can also squeeze more performance out of Windows and your NVIDIA graphics card. Those are linked there too. Thank you all for watching. My name's been TechnoBehavior Troubleshoot, and I'll see you all next time. Ciao.